Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Locrine and we get to hear from Locrine today in Act 4, Scene 4. Now, Act 4, Scene 4, the entirety of it is this monologue by Locrine. He's somewhere in Trivenant and he just comes on stage and he says this and then the scene is over. And remember, the last time that we saw him, he was all happy because he was winning the war, and then he saw Estrald and he's like, she's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I have to marry her. And Corineus was like, hi, my daughter Gwendolyn, what's going on there? And they were like, no, it'll be fine, everything will be fine, everything will be okay. But at the very end of the scene, Locrine sort of cursed Corineus under his breath and started to wish for his death. And that was before we had a little check-in with Humber and Strumbo last scene, where Humbo has been starving to death out in the wilderness. He can't find anything to eat, and he ran into Strumbo, who is apparently an amazing lover, and he tried to get some of Strumbo's food, which Strumbo tried to give him, but the ghost of Albonact smacked Strumbo's hands and they ran away, and the ghost of Albonact was like, wahaha, this is what happens when you kill me, is you're going to be haunted forever. So that was Act 4, Scene 3. But now getting back to, because Act 4 was supposed to be about this love story sort of thing going on, so we get back to that a little bit with Locrine. He comes out on stage and he says, 7 years hath aged Corineus lived, to Locrine's grief and fair Estrildra's woe, and 7 years more he hopeth yet to live. O supreme Jove, annihilate this thought. Should he enjoy the heir's fruition? Should he enjoy the benefit of life? Should he contemplate the radiant sun that makes my life equal to dreadful death? Venus, convey this monster from the earth that disobeyeth thus thy sacred hests. Cupid, convey this monster to dark hell that disannuls thy mother's sugared laws. Mars, with thy target all beset with flames, with murthering blade bereave him of his life, that hindereth Locrine in his sweetest joys. And yet for all his diligent aspect, his wrathful eyes piercing like Lince's eyes, well have I overmatched his subtlety. Nigh Deucolitum, by the pleasant lea where brackish Thamis slides with silver streams, making a breach into the grassy downs, a curious arch of costly marble fraught hath Locrine framed underneath the ground, the walls whereof, garnished with diamonds, with ophirs, rubies, glistering emeralds, and interlaced with sun-bright carbuncles, lightens the room with artificial day, and from the lea with water-flowing pipes the moisture is derived into this arch, where I have placed fair Estrald secretly. Thither eftsoons, accompanied with my page, I covertly visit my heart's desire, without suspicion of the meanest eye, for love aboundeth still with policy, and thither still means Locrine to repair, till Atropos cut off mine uncle's life. And that's the end of the monologue and the end of the scene. So the first half of this, he's cursing the fact that Corineus has lived, but he also gives us this tidbit of exposition that 7 years have passed. So it's been some time since that whole war thing was going on, and Corineus is making it difficult for Locrine to be with Estrald. So he calls on Jove, he calls on Venus and Cupid and Mars, he calls on all of them to just make Corineus die already. I mean, he's an old man anyway, so he's like, just get rid of him so that I can finally be with Estrald. But he's like, but I'm not an idiot. I'm sort of working things out. He built this sort of underground cave where the walls are lined with jewels, in which Estrald now lives. He keeps her there, and she has water, and he goes and visits her whenever he wants without any sort of suspicion abounding. So he's like, I'm working around things, but I'd still like my uncle to die sooner as opposed to later. And that's Act 4, Scene 4. So will he get his wish? Will he end up with Estrald? This act is supposed to be a love story. This whole play is supposed to be a revenge tragedy. So something's got to happen somewhere, and we'll find out if you come back tomorrow for more. I'll see you then. Mwah.